Wendel Trio is a climate change science and policy analyst. He joins me now live from Brussels. So, Wendel, great to have you here with us on TRT World. What do you make of this latest heat wave?
Well, it is in a way showing what has been predicted for a long time, that we will be facing more severe extreme weather, including heat. And contrary to what many believe, that climate change is something that is happening far away from Europe, Europe is actually the fastest warming continent in the world. So while on general average temperatures have increased by 1.2 or 1.3 degrees Celsius, for Europe, that is almost double. So obviously, we are facing heat waves more and more frequently in Europe, and that will, unfortunately, I would say, only increase, with the problem that Europeans, or many Europeans, definitely those more in the north of Europe, are not used to these kind of heats. Have no air conditioning at home, etc., while the south of Europe is experiencing such extreme heat waves that basic infrastructure starts failing, as we've seen with water supply, etc. So clearly, Europe is facing a number of severe challenges in the coming years.
Okay, Wendel, of course, we have been talking about climate change over the past decade or so now. Every year there's this subject of whether or not we are doing enough or not. I'll come to that in a bit, but this is what I'm wondering right now. Is there concern that we are approaching irreversible thresholds where heat waves or temperatures like this fundamentally reshape ecosystems, urban life, or agricultural productivity?
We cannot exclude that we're coming close to those thresholds. I think we're already witnessing quite severe impacts. Studies have indicated that the heat wave in 2022 has led to about 60,000 to 70,000 premature deaths in Europe. So that's a huge amount. We're seeing severe impacts on specific economic sectors like agriculture, where, again, in the south of Europe, certain regions have become almost unproductive. We see impacts on tourism, again, in southern Europe, where traditional tourism has come to an end. So, yes, I think there are already many problems, and unfortunately, we might come to some severe thresholds. As you know, within the UN, countries have agreed to limit temperature rise to 1.5 degrees. That's seen over a 20-year average, but we're already on an annual average reaching that 1.5. So we're getting very close to a 20-year average of 1.5 degrees, after which, it becomes a bit difficult to predict what is exactly going to happen.
Right. But let me ask you one more question in relation to that. Wendel, if current emission trends continue, what does the latest data project in terms of heat wave frequency and severity over the next 2 to 3 decades? I mean, I know the answer to this question. I know obviously what you're going to say, but are we prepared for such a scenario? Unfortunately
not, I would say, in the sense that, at least speaking from the European perspective, but it's of course even much more challenging and difficult in the developing countries. But also Europe is not prepared. There was a climate risk assessment published last year by the European Commission, which clearly indicated that Europe was not ready, and that the urgency to act wasn't yet fully understood by many governments. The European Commission published another report last month with an analysis of the EU member states' national energy and climate plans. Also there, the conclusion of the Commission was that while we're not making enough progress on reducing emissions, we're also not making enough progress on adapting, on preparing ourselves for the increasing impacts. So we have, in a way, a double challenge. We have a challenge to reduce the emissions to ensure that the problems are less severe, but we also have a challenge to prepare ourselves for those impacts that we will not be able to avoid anymore.
Certainly, yet we are seeing yet another example of climate change being real and impacting us in more dangerous ways than ever before. Wendel Trio, fascinating insights. Thanks very much for joining me here on TRT World.
Thank you.